Hey folks, so I wanted to share with you a short video on instructions on how to install your bee habitable solitary bee home. So it's really simple. So I'm assuming you either bought this online or at a fair or one of these stores that I sell them at. So all you do is that, so this is the back of the bee home, and it's going to be installed either this direction or this direction. It doesn't matter. So you're gonna put it, usually most people put it on their fence, so it has two handy dandy little holes on the sides of each part, and you just put a screw in those holes. Now what you want these holes to be facing southwest. So behind me directly is southwest, and so the reason you want that is it gets the max amount of sun so that the bees, when they nest in here, have a greater chance of pupation inside the bee home, and also it just attracts the females naturally anyways. So once you got it there, then it's gonna be there for the whole season, and the solitary bees are going to find it to nest inside of it. So they're gonna nest inside these little holes here, and they're gonna collect pollen, and they're gonna put it in little cells in here and lay eggs on each pollen, each cell with the pollen into there. And as they grow into adult stage, and then they come out and start the process all over again in spring. So that's a very abbreviated form of the biology of most solitary bees anyways. And once the bee home goes for about a whole season, sometimes pests start getting into the bee home. So what you're going to want to do is, in a natural situation, something like this can occur. A fallen branch, and beetles get into it, and the bees nest in those beetle holes. However, when you have them in this one spot for a particular set of time, normally pest issues aren't massive, but if you start collecting more of these bees, more of these bee homes, then you're going to start having pest issues. But just having one isn't too bad. It's gonna solve itself. Nature will like to tell it balances itself out. However, it is recommended to replace these every season. So right as spring opens, you start seeing them hatch out. What you're gonna wanna do, as soon as they're done hatching out, you're gonna take the old one down and you put the new one in. And the old one you can just burn. And so that just provides them a new place to nest. And what's great about that is that these are cheap, and also, like the video, you can make them yourself. So for example, here is a really old one. So these ones I'm leaving up for experimentation purposes, to seeing how they last over the years. So these, I think the top one's 3 years old. These two are 2 years old. I'm not quite sure. But anyways, so as you can see, things have nested inside of it at one point in time, but they're just getting old, starting to fall apart, which is how it should be. So once they start getting to this about age, once the remaining bees have come out of it, what you're going to want to do is replace it with a brand spanking new one. And there you go. So if you purchased one of these modular bee homes, again, these are all made of recycled wood, but here you're going to have these little pieces of nesting tubes. So they're literally just a block of wood, usually hardwood, and they are placed into this little shelter basically, and they're going to nest in here. The same thing as with the other ones, but these ones, if you wanted to, you could actually move them to a different spot if you wanted. They're movable, they're very convenient, and instead of tearing down the whole entire bee home, what you can do instead is that you can actually just replace the individual blocks. So once these have hatched out and they're full, then they hatch out and they're starting to be empty in spring, then you can go ahead and replace each block, or you can even clean them out with a brush. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, and I sell these blocks on my website if you need some, and you can also sometimes find them in stores, but my website is the main place, and yeah, that's how it works. The next one is here. These are my module visual bee home. So these ones you aren't going to throw out the casing in here. What you're going to do is these little glass tubes that I've in here once they're done nesting inside of it, you can go ahead and pull the mount and you can see what they've done inside of it, so which is really cool. Then once you're done, then you can push it back and clean it out however you want to do it. But cleaning it out is a good idea in the end of spring. I mean, end of summer. I mean, in the beginning of spring is what I meant to say. So yeah.